Hi, my name is Sheila Corona. Today is Saturday, August the 10th, 2024. I am joined tonight by my housemate, Lisa Flamino Rush, and Chris J., members of the New Light Streaming Love team. So glad you guys could join me for this conversation. I had to hurry up and hit record because Lisa was saying some really good stuff. And because you were saying, Lisa, that you
And then I went blank. So I just realized I wasn't supposed to
ah,
keep going or I'd lose it. You know how I do. So thank you.
yes, that's right. So, but you were saying that you feel your creativity coming back.
Mhm.
We've spent already quite a bit of time with Crystal this afternoon, or you have, and I'm just now getting a chance to join you ladies. Yeah, there's going to be a recording coming out on New Light Streaming Love that you'll definitely want to check out later on between Chris and Lisa. Um, and there's been so many synchronicities, and you were saying, Lisa, that you feel your creativity coming back, and I want you to finish that thought if you wanted
Oh,
to.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
Um,
guess I should say this is a conscious conversation central production that will be seen on New Light Streaming Love and also on Sassy Seer Sheila. And you'll have all the links to find everybody and everything in the show more section here. So Lisa, please uh, tell everybody what we've been up to the last little bit here.
sure. Didn't that feel good though to say conscious conversation central?
Yes, ma'am, it certainly did. No, I'm not going to lie about that a little bit.
Made me feel really good too.
I'm so glad.
It's nice. This has been really fun. Thank you, ladies. And thank you to Crystal for the beautiful reading.
Well,
That was awesome. I highly recommend them. Okay, so updating, boy, yeah, where to begin? And that's where I got in trouble earlier. There's so many synchronicities.
Yeah, but I
I'm
loved what
forgetting
you
them all.
said. I'm sorry, there's a part of me that started jumping up and down inside when you were saying it, what you were saying,
Uh-huh.
because you said it's time to start really talking about these things and hearing you say those words, there's a part of me that's jumping up and down.
No, I know. No, it feels really good. It just feels, well, I've had a lot of false starts. And two, I'm riding just a little buzz from Crystal's reading there because it was really, really good and it was really, really clarifying for me. And it was super encouraging.
Oh,
And so, Crystal, I am just leapfrogging to love over here.
well, I'm excited. I can't wait to see that. Crystal, when will that be up for us all to take a peek at?
it's loading now, but I don't want to make this about that. But side note, when we finish this, I just seen something and just in what you just said just now. So
Ah,
we'll have to bounce back to that so I can show you.
okay, cool.
Absolutely. Please do. Yeah, there's a
Speaking of synchronicities too, y'all were talking about
yeah,
um, different people saying, certain things, and you guys mentioned tornadoes, that people have been talking about tornadoes. Now,
yes.
I can show y'all the message. I told my friend that I keep getting a lot of references come through about tornadoes. I don't know what it's about, but symbolisms, dreams, things like that. And I told her I don't know why I keep getting these synchronicities about tornadoes, and I still don't know why in the world those kept coming through to me, but that triggered my memory on that. That wasn't even like a week and a half ago.
Well, you
Are
know
you
what?
frozen?
You know what?
I think Sheila is.
Yeah, I think I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi off of my phone and see if that'll help.
Sheila, you were frozen and we could not hear anything. I did hear you through the door, however.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, can you hear me now?
yes,
Okay. Well, I turned the Wi-Fi off of my phone to see if that would help. Would you turn it off on yours too?
sure.
Because I did get a notice
That it's weak.
the internet is a little unstable.
Okay.
Well, here's something, again, synchronicities, and because we're all together, I pulled this out because I didn't have it before. I did know it because I, when feeling into, well, what do you want to do tonight, Sheila, a Saturday night? I actually did go to the local drive-in Facebook page to
Did
see
you?
what was playing.
Yeah, what's playing? Twister.
Wow.
Okay. Wait a minute. And what's so funny about this is that we were sharing with Crystal before we hit record that there's so much out here, all the channelers, all the readers, remote viewers, all these people talking about the energies and using words like vortexing, using words like tornadoes, tornadic energy, using these kinds of things. And with the remote viewers, it was a whole thing of the energy coming in from an angle and causing earth anomalies, right?
Mhm.
And so so Lisa, please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt, but oh my gosh, Crystal, that was too cool. And I was immediately shown that, oh wow. And the thing for this on this poster says chase, ride, survive.
Hmm.
Oh my, okay.
Well, that's all about these waves that are coming. She's frozen again, and they did
Frozen
turn.
again.
Oh
Well, I
no.
don't watch any of the channelers or readers or anything, so
Well, I hadn't been until just recently. Can you hear
definitely.
me now?
Yeah, you were frozen again, so I don't know what you were saying there. And Crystal,
I heard what Crystal said, but
okay.
I was just saying that I really don't watch any channelers or readers either until just the last few days. Except for we had gotten into, because of Cliff High, a remote viewing team. We've been kind of peeking in there to see what they're coming up with, because remote viewing feels a little different in some ways, mostly for me because it's all guys. They're doing the room. And there's something about that masculine energy that's opening itself up to its own intuition and what they're getting, because of the way they do it. It's very interesting with the blind tasking and all of that. But
Right.
but then to find later that there's tarot readers, and I haven't checked in with channelers just recently, but I'm feeling that all the intuitive hits are there, is what I mean by that when I say that. That all this, oh, and astrologers too are in that mix for me, because Jean Wiley is an astrologer, and she did a right at the time that all of that tornadic energy was coming in, the vortex and coming up through the earth. She's an astrologer, and she'd done a quick little Facebook reel about it. So, Lisa, you were saying that you felt like your creativity was, really beginning to uh, peak back for you.
Yes. Yeah, it really has. And I also now have the ability to act on some of it. So that's really exciting too, because, as you well know, I was so out of commission with the arm and the hand situation that I was very excited to begin engaging, in strengthening activities and getting my groove back so I can start to move.
Right.
But what I was trying to share when we first started, before we, hit the record button, was really this is the new way. Okay, so remember I got real quiet for a while. The creativity was still with me, but I had so much pain that I had lost my ability that I had been using. I couldn't write anymore. First I couldn't write with the pen, and then after a while I couldn't type anymore. And then pretty soon I couldn't hold a pen. So, I mean, I couldn't do anything for myself. And it just, so then I realized, okay, so I'm being asked to look at something apparently, and I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So I've just been on a journey of looking at all of that stuff that the universe is putting in front of me. And instead of wishing it away or wanting it to be gone, I'm thanking it for being here, and I'm asking to see the gift it has for me in this situation. And so this really synchronistic trail is an answer to that for me personally. And so a lot of this work of gathering together and noticing what I have noticed over this time, our patterns weren't random happenstance. They were guided, telepathic, or however you want to hold it, answers from my greater being along the path, right? Things were lighting up and conversating with me and taking me further down the line. And the most interesting and beautiful thing has been happening here is I'm discovering a whole community of people who are doing the same thing, some sort of inner work, and are coming back with similar messages now, like the things that were synchronistically lighting up for me personally. And it's a very personal journey. And I started to write it down, like it's a tale and I could tell it, and it's fascinating. But beyond that is also a sliver of the next fractal, or the pattern of a bigger piece of the overall picture, maybe you could say. And that is that we are all being led to discuss or to be, I want to say become, embody. It's less than go. That it used to be in my mind, I was going somewhere to a new frequency, a new something. But I like this new metaphor I'm holding of becoming something different, because I am, and I am an eternal becoming in truth. So we are all becoming in unison. Like we are all becoming one song at the moment. And I am filled with creativity and excitement behind that, noticing for me personally. I mean, this has just been the most exciting ride.
Well, for me, and particularly over the last few days, that's why I said
Yeah, no, it's amping up. It's getting fast. It's like
right.
there's time is we're in some kind of time distortion field, and it's going very, very quickly now. It's
No, it does
moving
feel
very,
that.
very quickly.
Yeah, it does feel that way for sure. The It's one thing to say about synchronicities, but between and having them happen so quickly, and well, again, this is why I feel like each hearing their own guidance and developing that immediate relationship with that guidance,
Mm-hmm.
why it's so important. Because I mean, everything that happened yesterday Oh, did we forgot to tell Albert we were going to record, didn't we?
Yeah.
We're recording, Boo.
He went,
Um,
oh, I think he heard you
oh,
talking through the door,
uh,
and when he heard it in stereo, he went, oh, and he shut the kitchen door.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, oh, wait a minute. So now what happened? Where was I with that? Oh, poo. Oh, well, it'll come back if it's supposed to. It just feels like to me, anyway, from everything that I experienced with you over the last few days, all the earworm situation that happened, it's happening real time in that
I'm
my
so
guidance was interacting with a bunch of synchronicities that were happening with you. So my guidance was showing me the portions that I needed to see as we moved through our day, most specifically yesterday. But it also, as I was sharing with Crystal, for me, it also carried over from a little bit from, because I carry these puzzle pieces that stick out in my mind, right? And the interaction with Crystal and her logo for her local festivals that she's doing, she said, "Can anybody pick out which one's mine?" And I said, "Well, I know the answer immediately. I just could feel it. I knew what it was, and it was Shadow Twins." Now, when you feel into that name, Lisa, and you know what you and I have been discussing and working through with all the things about reflection and dealing with the dark and the light within yourself, that just right there is another.
No, no, I know. And that was a huge synchronicity for me too, because Sheila, it's in my reading too. And all I could think of was that mirror video we saw. And honestly, it was about the reflection looking at the camera. You know what I mean? Like,
No, tell Albert no, they haven't. Or here, I can do it. He just sent us a message. I can do it. I'll tell him.
okay.
Um, No, you're so right. Well, that whole thing with the reflection has come up a lot. And that's been a huge not just a synchronicity, but it certainly is uh, it's a proving for me, right? It's a yes. The way you're understanding this is
Mhm.
the way I'm supposed to understand
Yes.
it,
Yes.
and that's what synchronicities are for me until I figure out that I've interpreted it wrong or something, because hey, I already know I have the ability to do that too.
Right. Well, while I was down, right, and I couldn't do anything, I was really resistant to that, not liking it at all. Very disappointed, very emotionally upset. I allowed that to throw me right off. Um, so I've been sort of working with the team in that, right? Like I didn't stop communicating with my team, but I did stop writing about it and publishing, right? Um, and I learned a lot by just being quiet and still, noticing what was coming up within me to not do those things and then to work through what that was really, really revealing, and encouraging and uplifting too. Like, when I say revealing, sometimes there's a little jolt of pain in there, but it was also uplifting and supporting because it gave me a whole new perspective just to jump right to that, right? And see it from the perspective of the truth sets me free. And free means free. I mean, when you really embody that, you know the difference between talking about it and becoming free.
Well, I think you've hit on a huge thing there that I'd like to tease forward a little bit for myself if I could, because
Yeah.
this really involves Crystal. And something that Crystal brought to the table to help assist me with, and that is her shadow work, which is, again, I feel, why I was able to pick out the shadow twins. I mean, I'm sorry, but you're so good at that, Crystal, and you helped me so much with that, because that freedom that you spoke of there, Lisa, can only be felt, in my estimation, once a person faces and embraces that which is holding them captive within. Because don't think for a second that all of the things that I have or have in the past wanted to forget about and not think about, and don't dwell on the past and don't deal with that, and that's a hurt and we don't want to look at that, is exactly what chained me, if you want to, and kept me in some sort of bondage. But by turning and facing and embracing and understanding this trauma, feeling it right to its guts, I mean, just the awfulest part of it,
Yeah.
and then allowing it to depart, seeing it for what it is or was for, let's say, at the time, because every being, we've said this, I don't know how many times on this channel, has been traumatized and hurt and programmed and conditioned on top of that trauma and hurt, and then re-traumatized after that programming, because that programming caused more trauma and hurt. And so we've all had that. So any one of those beings that might have contributed to whatever I was, holding on to, or whatever caused it to begin with, that freeing that you talk about is because of that, because of that work, that shadow work.
Exactly.
That, like I said, Crystal, you really, in the way that you approached that for yourself and approach it for your clients is just, it's I look at it as an act of liberation of self.
Yes, that's really what it is. So I want to go back to the reading and just kind of explain how that particular synchronicity is huge, really, because I saw a TikTok video or a reel, a short, something very short about oh, I lost it. Sometimes this happens to me.
You're talking about the mirror
The
reflection.
mirror, yeah. And this was not the first thing I saw on mirrors and reflections. So again, it was a huge synchronicity when I saw it, and I couldn't stop watching it, and it was on a loop, and I just kept looking at it. So it was a woman, and it was several women. But when it first started, it's a woman who is standing in front of a mirror. So there's like a mirror here, right? And she's recording herself, and she's got her head like up against the mirror, and you can see her reflection and you can see her face from the angle of the camera. And the particularly odd thing, because I don't know why she's doing this, right? I'm just watching her do this. She's lining up her face in the camera. She lines up the camera, and then she looks at the camera. And when she looks at the camera, the reflection in the mirror, the eye moves, because the reflection is actually at first just looking off into its own camera on the other side of the screen, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it looks at first when you first see the reflection, because she is looking into the eye of her camera, her phone. And after a few seconds of this, the reflection changes its gaze and looks directly at the camera as well. So the eye pivots and goes boop, like this. And it almost looks like it's staring now into the camera, which when you look into a camera, it can feel to the person watching like you're looking right at them. And so that's how it felt. Like the girl was looking at me being the camera, and the reflection then turned and looked at me as if to say, and I'm here too, or I'm conscious. And I realized that the viewer, I don't know, it was like I felt peeped. If that's it, I had this whole thing with this video and it was on a loop and I couldn't stop watching it.
I'm
And
trying to
then
find it. I'm trying to find it so I could share it, but I can't seem to find it.
well, then I sent it to Sheila. And so a whole series of synchronistic events with reflection and mirrors took place then. And so, well, basically, what I learned is that so there was another video about a mirror and a true mirror. That was the next piece because I didn't know how to get there from here. Well, that's the bridge. That's how I found it. The difference between a mirror and a true mirror, I have no idea because this wasn't covered in these tiny little clips. Darn them. But they had it set up so that me, the camera, was looking at the mirror with the person as though I'm the person. So it's a bit confusing, right? Because I had to look at this a bit and work my mind around what I was seeing. But we look into the true mirror and the person smiles and looks at themselves, and it was beautiful. Then they said, okay, now look into a regular mirror, what we consider to be a mirror. But and others are now calling this a black mirror. So I'm not sure what any of this means. True mirror, regular mirror, black mirror. I don't understand. I don't claim to, but this is just the synchronistic path I'm on here. So the the regular mirror, the black mirror, whatever you want to call this other mirror, now we look and we see her. She does look different. And he's like, in what way do you look different to yourself? And she said, I look dead. Like I don't look, I just look different. I don't look. And he said, you can't see the glimmer in your eye. And then instantly, of course, my attention was drawn as well as hers to her eyes. And it was like, yeah, there's a flatness. And then she jumped over back to the true mirror and you could just see she just looked sparkly and alive and just, which triggered a memory for me of some contemplating I had back in my childhood with mirrors because we had some games, I saw some things. I've had trouble with mirrors for my life, and I've been overweight and not happy with what I see in the mirror. And so I tried to shun mirrors, like mirrors were not my friend, and I just didn't like them at all. And then I was introduced to the exercise where you stare at yourself in the mirror for 5 minutes and tell your eyes that you love yourself, right? And so I had to get over my mirror thing so that I could, because I really wanted to love myself. And so I was willing to leave my comfort zone of this whole mirror creep out thing to love me. And so then I kind of forgotten my mirror creep out thing, although occasionally I must say at different times, I feel like, especially when I'm like in the bathroom brushing my teeth and the mirror is there, but I'm not looking at it. I'm not focusing on the mirror per se. I feel like I see things happening or sometimes the others. And I'm not looking at the mirror, but when I move to look at the mirror, there's nothing there. So I've never been completely comfortable with mirrors because of these aboriginal experiences I've had occasionally with them. So this is what's also with me on board to watch these mirror synchronicities.
Right.
Yeah, so during the time of this video, I need to move to tie this into where we're going. Okay, so I have that piece. Okay, so there's something that's true and that's not. Then later, there's a scientific video that shows up for me, and it's in regards to everything is, of course, the mind, and everything is a projection. And this person who is speaking even went so far as to say the mirror, and that our brain, that there is no reflection. Nothing can reflect what you look like. And I thought, no, that's not true. That's not my experience. What are you saying? And then he said, your brain projects that there is an image and creates it. And when you look in the mirror, if you don't have love for yourself, or if you have an issue with yourself, the image that you project will have said issue, or there will be, it is shown in the mirror reflection of you.
Well,
And I was
as
like,
and as you were sharing all of that with me,
yes.
remember that opened up a whole new realm. Please continue.
Well, then I want to tie it into my reading, because specifically this piece goes
I
to,
don't
so
know anything
then
about that piece.
Crystal is reading me. And so she starts at the first house, and then we go into the second house. And so while she's talking to me about the pieces that have landed there, and she's interpreting the symbology for what that means for her, and then also like what the room represents, um, I'm being flashed as she's speaking a conversation I have had with my inner guidance about the I have so much stuff coming in at once. I had something else kind of come in and chop this off. So what was I just saying? If you could help me.
She was sharing with you in the second house, and she was interpreting.
Oh yeah, her thing. Yes. Okay. So I was having a conversation with myself about the I am presence. And well, actually, the question was my original wound. Like, what's my wound? We were doing some work, Sheila, with the wounded healer, and it was something in my chart. And so I was just like asking myself questions. And that's where I wanted to know what personally, my original wound was. And what they showed me was I stood up and said, I am. And then a reflection of me stood up in front of me, a reflection of me, and said, am I? And that shadow is my original wound, because I've been running from it ever since.
Well, and
And when she did her reading and she talked about that second house, I saw that. That was my shadow, because we were really talking about, or she was using the terminology of my Achilles heel, which I had asked, what is my major impediment to my own progress? How can I see it and make peace with it, do something transformative with what we discover here? And so now I'm seeing this mirror thing, and this I am I, in a whole new, I have this whole new thing to contemplate and play with suddenly, which gives me all this excitement.
I guess so, because this whole thing with the mirror really started 2 or 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Pull in another piece for you on the mirror, and
Thank you.
it ties into
Please
your reading.
do.
So the true mirror is said to be a mirror that doesn't reverse your image. If we take a picture with our camera, which I've struggled with this the past couple of days since I'm doing face readings. Which side is the right side? Which side is the left side? So when you take a picture with your front camera, like a selfie, it mirrors your image. It's not what people, if a person was standing in front of me, it's not what they see me as. And so when we go in the bathroom and look in the mirror, we're not seeing that version of us that if someone was standing in front of us that they would be seeing, right? And I mean, it even does it on here. We have mirror, right? So we can we can fix that on here. But here's the other part to bring it into your reading. So there was a part on there that in the first house where you had an angel wing or a spirit guide wing or whatever. Something is said guiding you. And I said, but not only that, you're guiding others. I think many times we don't see ourselves in the same light or the reflection that other people do. And it's really important that we take notice of what other people see in us, because too often we can't, or we put up those boundaries and talk down to ourselves or have that Achilles heel or whatever the case may be, and we can't see our true self.
Right.
So
true. That is so true.
There's another part.
Yes. Yeah, that you questioning yourself, am I all
Which
that?
honestly, for me, that is actually, I think that is the core wound of the universe, because especially in the tone of voice that you um in your guidance, am I, like there was some doubt.
A challenging doubt. Yes.
And so I think that could be classified as the original wound, not just for you, but
Sure.
for the all, because that is kind of how
It's what happens, right? It's almost like the moment you split into two. The self and the shadow,
Well, the other thing that it opened up for me to bring forward and share was all the synchronicities and puzzle pieces collected heretofore in regards to that too. Okay, so especially with the anomaly, which I'm going to tell everybody, we're going to see if we could find it. And if I can find the video that Lisa's referring to, I'll put it in the show more section. But because she shared it with me and I saw it, and I don't mind telling you, I was a little creeped out myself. Yeah. But I also feel this about it. It opened up an entire vista in regards to creation of our own reality. If indeed the brain projects that image for the eyes to take in, because that's what's expected, right? That goes to the first hermetic principle of all is mind. Everything here is consciousness, period, end of story, and varying vibratory fields of such. And that's what makes matter. That's what makes material. And we create it. So if and a whole thing opened up for me about the whole thing, because if that is so, if thoughts become things, I had the same trouble with mirrors as you, getting up to 490 pounds.
Yeah.
Not my friend. We were lucky if I looked in the mirror before I left the house, but it was this kind of mirror. It wasn't a full length, right? Let's not torture ourselves, is the way I held it, right? So, but the first thing of going into, doing work on self, I too was challenging myself to spend some time talking to myself in the mirror. And things aside, because I don't recall having any weird experiences there, except for bawling my eyes out for the way I was, actually getting through to myself. But the thing for me is that every other puzzle piece that I've collected about everything is mind, thoughts, become things. They do so from focus, attention, intention, and emotional oomph is what pushes it over the edge from the imagination of the
Accelerator.
right of the
Gas. Get you out of the garage.
what was that called? The pre-matter template
Yes.
from the void where imagination lives, pulling it through this body with that emotion. Now I'm in front of a mirror and oh, I don't like the way I look today. Oh, I'm so ugly. Now what have I created? And I shared with Crystal, spoiler alert, if you've ever seen the movie Soul, a little Pixar animated movie, there was a scene in there where there's these little characters chasing them around in dream time in another realm. And it turns out later on they learn those monster characters are actually the people that they're chasing, which means your shadow twin. And that's exactly what I'm going to call it because that's what it felt like to me when and I can see how, if we have empowered said reflection as we are looking in the mirror and we've empowered it with everything we don't particularly care for about ourselves, and now it's chasing me around.
And everything is a mirror.
Every single thing. Oh, it just so much.
Because remember, we're the one being reflecting, the one mind reflecting on itself.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Now, because of how heavily we're talking about the shadow work, Crystal, I want to make sure you still have stuff about your people can learn more about your what work you do with shadow work on New Light Streaming .love, right?
I don't think I have anything on there about
No,
shadow.
Oh, wow.
no. Not even none of your courses that you designed about that.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, if anybody wants to contact Crystal about that, reach out new light streaming love at gmail.com and in the subject line put shadow work and we'll know that's for Crystal. Because for me, the work that you've done with me personally, between the two of you, but
Yeah,
most
and me too. She
he
works
was a
with me too.
huge translator for me when it came to shadow work.
Yeah.
And I don't know, between the all of the synchronicities that have been happening of late, it seems like the perfect time to bring Conscious Conversation Central back.
Yeah.
To start having these
Yeah,
sorts of
it does.
conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, it was okay that we were quiet for a period of time.
Mhm.
It's required. I learned that being quiet.
Well, I've always said that if I'm not drawn to, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna move where I'm not drawn. And by following that nudge,
Then
that's
you
the way.
know.
By following that nudge, I've learned so much about myself, about the way the universe works for me, or what's showing up for me about that. And yeah, I suffered behind it because I actually was having a lot of, well, what am I supposed to do now? Because I don't feel like I'm supposed to do this
Mhm,
anymore. And I didn't for a long time.
mhm.
And it still feels different. So it's changing and developing as it goes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm moving more into constant contact, which is more like waiting each moment for the flow. And it is very much what you're talking about, what lights up, what's in each moment, and just really, I don't know, doing a trust fall into that And
Yep.
it's been really fun, not all of it easy, like but I'm being supported, and that is exhilarating. That is exhilarating. It's worth the will I be supported? Yes, yes, you will.
Well, some of what we were, and I want to share with everybody, I really would love to, and I'm going to put a link in the show more section. Would love for you to go over and take a listen to the video that Cindy, Awakening with Spirit, Cindy put out a reading for the collective. And it was a big part of all of this synchronicity. It was
It
actually
tied many synchronicities into one tidy package. It did.
including the earworm that I got up with that Lisa didn't know anything about at first. And that plagued me all day long until later on. Finally, I was able to find it, and it was get this, Collective Soul was the name of the group. And because it was all happening during the time that we were uh engaging with Cindy's video. And it's been sort of a carryover. And I actually did a 2 hour recording this morning that probably won't go out because it's just me looking at a couple of things I was guided to look at and then chatting about them and the synchronicities that were coming. Because, one of these things actually was entitled Holy Synchronicity. So
See?
I couldn't not.
Yeah. And what was so interesting was, me sitting in the sitting in the backyard, asking for, synchronicities basically. And because I was feeling pulled to the water, but I didn't know what that meant. I was just feeling water, water, water. As a matter of fact, I remember like shopping or just being out and about, and I smelled the beach like really strong. And I think I even said to Sheila, I would not be surprised if I start smelling or hearing, if we start hearing seagulls next. That's how strong I was smelling the beach. And I was like, what does this mean? Why I can't get water off my brains? And a friend reached out and said she'd been doing some experimentation with telepathy. Barbara Carnes, we just did a catch-up video with her. So she reaches out, and she had a big piece of the synchronicities because she sent me an octopus in telepathy and didn't know why. Not only that, but a photograph of a series of books. And these books meant a lot to me. Like, this was a big deal for me personally, this series of books. And then she tells me later she had no idea why she picked those things. Maybe it was a color scheme, or she had no idea. It was an experiment, and she just needed to send me 2 pictures. But what she sent me told me that her soul was in on the joke, right? Like, it just proved we're all connected, because she had pieces of the synchronicity puzzle about the water. So the octopus was a water thing. And the very day that I got the email was another synchronistic event with Stacy. I was participating in her somatic breath work group session. And so I couldn't immediately, I heard my email go off, but I couldn't look at it till I was finished with that. And what shocked me was a visual during the meditation in my somatic breathing took me to a place where I experienced particular array of colors doing a particular thing. And I kept asking myself, what is this? What does this mean? Where am I? And like stuff like this in the meditation. And then I had a overall watery sense and feel, because I was trying, I'm meditating and I'm asking for things, and it's a bit like remote viewing. I feel things and I have to sort of tune in on these things and then put them together. And sometimes I'll get a vivid picture and sometimes I won't. It'll just be a sensation. So I had a sensation, and then I had a hole open up, and it looked like I had a sensation that I was tiny and I was in a bowl and somebody was looking in at me. And then many somebodies, and there were faces around this opening. And it was just such a weird sensation. Well, when I saw this artwork of the octopus, we saw all the colors that I saw leading into this meditation. And I don't know that I was an octopus in a bowl or anything like that. But it was a water piece because it felt like a water scene, and I felt like I had been in a bowl, and I felt like the people had been watching me, which to me also felt like I could have very well have been an octopus. I don't know. It was just an interesting piece of this puzzle um, for me. But anyway, this water piece has just been growing and growing and growing and evolving for I don't know how long now. So that was really exciting for me that somebody doing their own experiment over here had pieces of the puzzle leading up to me. Anyway, so then on to the next piece of telepathic material she sent me. She then sent me a photograph of this, which was the picture of the books. Now, the book series was Madeline L'Engle's The Wrinkle in Time series. There's actually 5 books, but at the time I thought there was only 3. And I had read 3 with my young daughter. She was probably 11, 12-ish, somewhere in there. And I read the first 3 books with her, which, like I said, at the time I thought was the only ones, and I had read all of them. So when I saw that series, and it was a picture of a book, a boxed set, and I thought, why are there 5? So I had to zoom in to get the names. And the title of book number 4 were Many Waters. Okay, so now I have an octopus. I have this water experience that I am having during, the email comes in, and had I read this email before this experience, I probably would have dismissed it as, oh, that's interesting, but I didn't find anything. But because I didn't see it until after, like, just the timing of it all was perfection, because now I had this other experience on board, and then I researched the title because I had to open it up and look into it, and then I took mom to the library and we got the whole series and we read it all. And the amount of synchronicities
Yeah, listen, I
have been
was
off the charts from just reading those books.
well, listen, okay, so just right there, I didn't realize that Many Waters was the first of the last 2 that you hadn't read.
Yes.
But now here's something that until you read it, you wouldn't have known. But since you shared
Right.
those books
Go
with,
right ahead.
and I've read them now too, Many Waters is all about time travel, and they ended up right before the flood that Noah was building the ark for. And I'm sorry, this collective
And
reading,
he stayed with they were with Noah's family.
but I'm also tying it now into the
Oh.
collective reading. All of the thing, because I didn't know all of that until just now. And this collective reading it that folks will notice if they go and watch it is all about this energy that is going to be doing something to the Earth's waters, which, you're getting a whole lot of stuff about water. I don't know. It's just very interesting.
Well, and remember, Lisa Gallus did a beautiful reading for Dad way back, where she said he has ET family and he's working with them in the Chesapeake Bay. They are doing work with water
That's
there.
right. She did. That is correct. See, these are huge puzzle pieces that unless you're, for me, paying attention, because that's all I've been doing is paying attention and collecting these data.
It's so fun.
Oh my God. Isn't it though?
Yep.
Well, I'm really grateful for the two of you coming and chitty chatting with me tonight.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Thank you. And thank you, Crystal, for the beautiful reading. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm really excited because you've got two new things now that we did do one for me that you did like with Lisa, but we didn't put it out. And so that reading that you did with Lisa will be out later on New Light Streaming Love, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will link that as well in the show more section of this video once once you've got it out there, because I won't be putting this out tonight. I'll wait till tomorrow. And then that way I can link it to there. But also you're doing face readings now, which I find is really cool. And so
Yeah,
before I
that
let
is
you
so cool. Fascinating.
I know. I want to tell everyone that we're going to do an actual conversation where Crystal's going to read my face and whatnot. You're doing that mostly over on TikTok, right? On your own personal. Well, we'll have all the links for that, when we do that. But I wanted to let everybody know that is coming down the pike as well. And wait a minute, I wanted to. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Crystal? Because I know you're getting ready to do some things locally. Did you want to say anything about that, or?
Well, I wasn't planning on it, but if you are local, come out to our festivals and have a look around. That would be cool.
Yeah, tell everybody what the festival is. The next one that you're doing.
The next one is in Woodruff, South Carolina, and it is a fairy type alien type of ordeal. So picture if you get lost in the woods, what would you come across? So like cottage fair, fairy, alien,
Yeah,
witches, that sort of thing. So that's the next festival that's coming up. I think it's on the 7th, September 7th.
September 7th. Okay, and if anybody wants to know any more information about that, you can also hit Crystal up at either journeyintoit@gmail.com, or you can hit her up at newlightstreaminglove@gmail.com. And I want to say for Conscious Conversation Central, I told y'all last time, I told y'all in my live, I'm going to be having conversations and I'm not going to do them live, but I am opening them up for others to join the conversation. So I want to say that the next one that I'd like to do, actually, I'd like to do a little more research into this whole mirror and reflection thing. And I'd like to get a few more folks involved because there's a lot there, I feel. There's a lot of esoteric there. There's a lot of urban legend there. And so, I'd love to, have folks. And if you don't want to come and have a chat about it, at least comment about it. And also, if you have any other topics, we are going to have a conversation about morality at some point, but that's not going to be the first one. Got to ease into these things. But because that's going to be a biggie right there. But that one too is coming down the pike. And also, just to give everybody a few of these topics so that if there's one in particular that pings you and you would like to be included, send me an email, consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com. I want to talk about the idea of privacy. I want to talk about the idea of privacy. What does it mean? Do you actually have any privacy? What does telepathy mean? All of those what will telepathy do to my privacy? all of these kinds of things. This is a conversation that I want us to have about, from all different perspectives. Another topic, we become, I'm sorry, Crystal, you had something to say? I looked
I
at.
remember seeing a meme a long time ago. It was like it was two aliens sitting across from each other, and they was like, um, "How come they don't use telepathy down there?" And it was like, "Have you heard their thoughts?" Like,
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. One of the topics I was nudged to put down here was we become or are the frequency with which we surround ourselves. And this is all about the frequency that we not just hold, but what we surround ourselves with. Again, this for me is all about the thoughts and whatnot. Okay, and then I have the morality and the video, the whole thing about mirror reflections, right? And that's it for the moment. I do have some others that I didn't have right here at my fingertips, but I wanted to just dabble a few out there and see what we get. If anybody, any takers to come and have conversations with us about it. So thank you both so much. I really am very appreciative of you guys coming and doing this with me today, especially after your reading.
We're doing this. I'm glad Conscious Conversation Central's back.
Me too, actually. Me too. All right. Well, I will have all the appropriate things in the video show notes, the show more section. Until we meet again, I hope that you will move towards that which brings you the highest joy in each moment that presents itself. Where you feel drawn, there's something for you there. That's the way I look at it for myself at any rate. So till next time.
Much love, everyone.